So welcome to day 1 of Ancient Inheritance. Good start is to put up a guild message to give your guild some instructions if you're one of the captains. Now, as I said before, refresh if you have to, but try to get that Wanderer's Pipe for the bonus. It's good to have notes on the map from other guildmates to let you know where relics and scrolls are. This is the path I'm recommending that our guild takes through this new map. They did change the maps from last season. I went ahead and marked on our map the scroll and relic locations that we found so far. They'll be different, I believe, for everybody's maps. Now, I do recommend that you collect scrolls that are on the way and relics that are on the way. The books you can also collect. They're quite valuable early on, but I wouldn't stress over them too much. I went ahead and skipped them. Do not collect chests. The treasure chests are tempting, but on level 1 and even level 2, the treasure chest rewards are pretty disappointing. You just give them a pass and save your provisions to rush the boss. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any rangers on my team, and even if I did, the class enhancement being level 3 would keep that from working. So I went ahead and chose to get the slightly better reward at the cost of 2 provisions. That's a personal choice. You can go with the lesser reward and not waste provisions. And collecting that gave me some experience points and took me up to level 2. So speaking of classes, let's go ahead and take a look at the class enhancements. And for heroes to enlist, I'm going to go primarily with warriors and some healers, and rangers is backup. I'm going to leave the last 4 slots open because you never know what's ahead, so it's good to have the option to put additional heroes in the slots later. But I just wanted to have my 3 primary classes enlisted just in case I run across any more of those scrolls that require me to have classes equipped. Now let's go ahead and use some of these class enhancements. As I said in my other video, focus on 2 to 3 classes tops. Warriors are by far and away the best class for Ancient Inheritance, and you'll want some healers to keep people alive. I also recommend rangers or mages as the backup. I prefer rangers, but some people prefer mages. So let's just take a rush towards the elevator. You can see there's one of those books. I went ahead and decided to pass on it, totally passing on that chest. The rewards are going to be trash. You can see where a guildmate left a note. Those notes are handy. They let me know where scrolls and relics are hidden. So let's take a look and see what goodies we get out of this scroll. So again, I don't want to do a battle because I don't want my units to die. And if you use your units in a battle, they're not accessible for other fights. So again, I'm going to burn a couple provisions here and take the middle reward. I don't know, maybe the battle would have been better. I could have always drafted 4 more units for other fights, or even for this fight, but regardless, time to get on the elevator, and it will take you to one of the islands. Which direction you go is up to you. For what it's worth, the guild chest is in the middle section, but I still recommend avoiding the guild chest. The rewards from it just aren't that great, in my opinion, compared to rushing the boss. You can always go back and collect it later. One more scroll here. Let's see if my equipped team or enlisted team will help make any of this easier. Oh my goodness, rangers again. Well, I do have a ranger on the team, but sadly my rangers are not upgraded to level 3, so I'm once again left with the choice to break the chest for crappy rewards or burn 2 provisions for decent rewards. I've wasted 6 provisions now on these scrolls. That's an entire extra fight at the boss, so you really gotta consider if you're going to use provisions, when and how often for these scroll rewards. Now, here's a relic. Relics are some of the most important things to get in the game. And I got 2 goods and a normal relic, so we are on floor 1, so I didn't expect too much, but a rare one would have been nice. You're not going to be fighting normal monsters. The other relics just didn't look good, so I went ahead and took the one that boosted my ranger's class level by 1. Now we'll jump on the elevator to go to the 3rd section. My provisions are starting to burn down. I'm down to 43 left, so I'm going to go ahead and just rush the boss, avoiding all of these things to collect. Another relic here. I could get the one that boosts warrior class by 1, or I could get this orb which gives me 2 class enhancement points. I don't know. I really... The 2 class enhancement points I can use right away. The warrior one is still not a high-end relic, and I'd probably wind up just replacing it later, so I went ahead and went with the class enhancement one, just trying to think long-term. Now the Burning Eye Lich. This fight is tricky. The big thing to understand about the Lich fight is he has this skill Seal, which will keep your units from doing passives, so avoid units that rely on passives. Rem will never proc Demon Mode, Falcon or Clury will never passively heal your team, Violet won't passively evade, so consider that when drafting your teams. For this fight I would recommend using a Tamarinne and a Cermia, always a good pair, and then a couple of DPS to go along with her. Another good option is Fire Ken, because he's got defense breaks all over his kit. Mercenary Helga, who's got buffs, debuffs, and defense breaks all over her kit, and actually does real good damage. Conc Lilias, because she can dual attack with multiple people. And Acades, who brings cleanses and some of the strongest heals in the game. So I went ahead and enlisted a few more people into my team, including Helga. I can't stress this enough, Helga is one of the most useful DPS units in Ancient Inheritance. Even if yours is only level 50 and doesn't have gear on, go ahead and take her, slap some gear on her, you'll find her extremely useful in these fights. Now something to note, early on, your class enhancements aren't super powerful yet, so your units probably don't have anywhere near 100% crit chance. So it's a good time to equip artifacts like Midnight Bloom and Azure Comet, as these will give you boosts to your crit chance and make sure your units reliably do good damage. So, as you can see, the Undispellable Seal debuff is on everybody, and I've got no passives to speak of on any of my units. Good thing I didn't take units that have a lot of passives. So I'm going to save my S2. The S2 is a barrier for Ken, since he's up front. That's artificial health for him and can help keep him alive. Helga gives an AoE attack break and also boosts everybody's effectiveness. This makes it easy to land those defense breaks even when you don't have high effectiveness on your units, which happens when your skill levels and class enhancement levels are relatively low. I have to check Ken's kit because I haven't used him in this so long, but right there his S2 is a nice 2-turn defense break, and that dual attack did pretty significant damage. Ken also landed a burn, which is an extra debuff every little bit. Helga's S1 and S2 are effectively the same skill for this fight. Normally her S2 has a real nice CR push with it, but I think CR pushes are turned off for this fight. Already Ken's ready to go with his ultimate attack. Now, something to note, when the boss does its AoE attack, it has an extra pop damage, and the further the fight goes on, the more powerful the boss's hits get, to the point where you just will not survive. So you want to take teams that do as much damage as possible. Bruiser teams are not the best way to approach this. You want to go high-end DPS teams that have a little bit of sustainability, a little bit of healing, because the boss will eventually wear you down. Ancient Inheritance fights are designed to not be 5 or 10 minute long fights, which is a good thing. But I would avoid slow bruiser teams. This is part of why I don't think knights are a very good fit for Ancient Inheritance. All the DPS knights just don't do enough damage, and the sustain Knights are great for the first couple of rounds, but eventually the boss's damage ramps up to the point where it just overwhelms the mitigation and sustainability of Knights. So as you can see, having a defense break on multiple units is very nice. I don't think the Lich has had a single round without a defense break on. You can save your souls to burn Acades when your health is extra low. Also, if you get an opportunity to use souls to soul burn Fire Ken, it gives them an extra attack, so that's even more damage. Fire Ken is freakishly good in Ancient Inheritance. I'd put him right up there with Helga as one of the more important DPS units to have. Sure is a good thing you don't have to build or gear him well. You can just put generic gear on him and run him as is. So as you can see, the damage is starting to scale up quite a bit. The pops are hitting harder. That round took half of everybody's health, but we're still in the fight pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and speed this fight up a little bit just to get us through to the end. So even at this speed, it's pretty easy to see how much more damage the boss is doing. You get to a point where you just aren't going to be able to out-sustain the incoming damage from the Lich. And eventually the Lich will use a skill that just wipes your team in one hit as well, so there's no real reason to try. So there is one dead Ken, and here's the AoE skill that wipes the team. This is a pretty respectable skill, or score, 250,000 points of damage in one round of attacks. I can't complain about that. I'm sure there are comps and cheeses you'll be able to find that will do substantially more damage, but I'm pretty pleased with 250,000. Now, luck has it there is a healing shrine directly below, only 3 steps away. So I'm going to go ahead and wander down there. The healing shrines let you restore 3 used units. Even if they don't die in a fight, once they're used, you still cannot use them in another fight unless you use the Statue of Recovery or wait till the following day. So this lets me go in and pick the exact same team and do this fight a second time. Now you'll get a little pop-up message saying that once you've done the fight once, your points don't count. That is all personal. What that means is when you complete the fight, you get bonuses for completing the fight, experience points and rewards. If you do the fight again, you will not get those rewards a second time, but your fight still counts towards the damage on the boss. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with hitting the boss multiple times if you've got solid teams that can do decent damage. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this fight because it's the exact same fight as last time. So we're just going to jump to the end, and as you can see, basically doubled the damage. I got 244 on the first run, now we're up to 518, so another 250,000 run. Actually did slightly more damage on this run. And it leveled me up, so I can go ahead and do a class enhancement. Again, I've got 5 ingredients, so I'm going to go ahead and raise my warriors 1 more level. And even though I'm going to use a Cermia in the next fight, I think Tam is going to be too fragile to take in there at level 2, so I go ahead and raise level 3. Not enough to do Rangers yet, so they will just have to wait until tomorrow. Now, the smart thing to do here would have been to just sit and wait and save those provisions, let my guild finish the Lich off, and then I could have had an easy run at the boss. But I got greedy. I really wanted to try a second team, so I'm going to go ahead and this time use Tamarinne and Cermia, who are absolute dream team in Ancient Inheritance. I'm going to go ahead and take in my Luna, and I'm going to go ahead and take in Yuffine. You can check their stats to see how close their crit chance are to let you know whether or not you need to load artifacts on them. Luna's passives are turned off, so she's not getting her stat bonuses, so her crit chance is actually a lot lower than showed on that previous screen, but I think she'll still do significant damage here. So, Alencia resets Tamarinne and drops her S3. I put Song of Stars on Alencia for an extra buff, so ideally I get target and a defense break, which I did. And now Tamarinne can transform, and I can start doing some substantial Tam and Alencia cheese damage. So I will S2 here to push up, give everybody an attack buff. Now there's already a defense break on the boss, so I'm going to hold off. Oh, you know what? I don't have the souls, so I need to do an S3. I think a soul burn S1 is more damage when the defense break is already in place, but I didn't have the souls for the burn, so S3 it is. I want to save her S3 in case the boss gets a buff, because that S3 does significant damage when the boss has a buff. So Tam can refresh the target and hopefully the break. We did get the Alencia. We did get the target. Alencia dual attacks with Luna. Pretty good damage. Okay, I am wondering if maybe I should have brought a second healer instead of Yuffine. I'm not sure I'm going to have the sustainability to make it through this fight, but we'll go ahead and give it a try. I reestablished the defense break. Tamarinne heals up. The reason I put Tamarinne up front is when she transforms into idle form, it's almost a full heal, so I thought it would be a good idea to have her up front soaking up the hits, and then she could heal herself. I don't think the boss is ever going to buff itself. That was silly of me, so I'll go ahead and rip the S3 for some good damage. Yuffine does have a defense break on her S1, and Luna has a defense break on her S3, and Alencia has defense breaks all over her kit, so it should be pretty easy to keep the defense break up 24/7 on the Lich. Now you can see my Tamarinne is getting quite a bit hurt, but with Alencia resetting her when she transforms, she should self-heal herself almost to full. Would have been nice if the Lich had attacked first, so I could have healed that damage too, but we'll take what we can get. So, Yuffine's S1 does way more damage than her S2. The only nice thing about her S2 is it's AoE, so I would avoid using her S2 entirely. Got a real nice jump in there from Yuffine. Unfortunately, the Lich stripped all of our attack buffs and everything away. Don't have a burn for this S3, so I'm going to take some extra damage. And yeah, I really think having an extra healer on this team, I would have gotten a lot more damage than I did. But I'll tell you what, that's another 300 mil. Or 300k damage on this run, so doing over 800k damage in 3 runs to a Guardian boss is completely good in my book. And here's the big AoE hit that wipes the team, and that's game. So I am left with 1 provision. That's not enough to do anything with, so this is where my run ends for the day. Now, normally when you get enough provisions, you want to take that elevator to the north, which will take you right up to fight the priest, the main floor boss. Luckily a guildmate allowed me to record his fight, so I can show you the ins and outs of the Priest Kakul's fight. He didn't have a lot of units to choose from. Acades was already dead, so we had to use Momo. Luna is a good DPS for this. Helga brings a lot of debuffs. You do want to stick debuffs on the boss. If the boss doesn't have enough debuffs on it, when it does its ultimate, it will pretty much wipe your team guaranteed. So unfortunately, we didn't have any warriors or DPS units left other than Apocalypse Ravi, and we didn't have any more space to draft anyone else. So I'm not particularly thrilled with this team because we're really starved for debuffs. We're relying on basically Helga and our artifacts. We did put the Cradle of Knowledge artifact on the warriors to try to proc some extra debuffs. You can see with Helga, we did get 3 debuffs right out of the gate, so if we're able to maintain that, we should be okay. Helga's S3 will give attack buff to everybody, and also an effectiveness buff, making it easier to stick those all-important debuffs. Now, one nice thing about the boss fight is right below the health bar, it gives you a road map to what the boss is going to do every single fight. So you can click on the skills and read what's coming and prepare your next attack for it. So we got 3 debuffs and a counter from Aravi. Unfortunately, we lost most of our debuffs in that round, and I'm not sure we'll be able to get them back in time for the big hit. Burning Luna for the extra damage. We got a real nice continuous healing buff out of Momo. That hit hurt. We got a poison attack coming next round. Since we have the defense break, go ahead and burn Luna for extra damage. And let's cleanse off those attack downs. We only got 2 debuffs and 1 of them cleansed, so we're really starved for debuffs going into this big hit phase. Cleanse off the poisons. I can't even defense break here. Go ahead and heal up one more time, and unfortunately we didn't have any debuffs on, so when he did that 5th skill, it wiped my party. But I tell you what, it's another 250,000 damage run with a suboptimal team. I think if our front unit instead of Aravi had been a unit that dropped constant debuffs on the boss, we would have been in a much better shape and probably could have pushed an extra 100k damage onto this fight at the very least. So I hope this walkthrough of day 1 helps you with your Ancient Inheritance. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section, and if you enjoy the video, think about giving me a like, maybe even a subscribe. Have a great day.